The small diplomatic ship floated through the darkness of space. Inside, Ambassador Jack Miller checked his uniform one last time. After 20 years in foreign service, he never thought his career would lead him to meeting aliens. Yet here he was, about to make history as one of the first humans to greet visitors from beyond the stars. "How are you feeling, Jack?" Dr. Elizabeth Wright asked. She stood next to him, looking out the viewport at the vast emptiness ahead. "Like I might throw up," Jack admitted with a small smile. "That makes two of us," Elizabeth said. She had been chosen for this mission because of her work in communication theory. If anyone could help humans talk to aliens, it was her. The ship's captain, Natalie Reed, joined them at the viewport. "The alien vessels should be visible any minute now. We're maintaining our current speed and broadcasting welcome messages on all frequencies." The crew of 20 aboard the Horizon represented Earth's best and brightest. Scientists, linguists, diplomats, and a small security team, just enough to show respect, but not appear threatening. Earth's leaders had debated for weeks about this, first contact. In the end, they decided that openness and friendship would be their approach. "There," Elizabeth pointed. "I see something." In the distance, pinpoints of light grew larger. Not stars, ships. As they approached, Jack felt his breath catch. The alien vessels were beautiful, with sleek lines that seemed to flow like liquid metal. They moved with a grace that made the horizon seem clumsy by comparison. "They're not responding to our broadcasts," Natalie said, her forehead creasing with worry. "Keep trying," Jack urged. "Maybe they communicate differently. Dr. Wright, any suggestions?" Elizabeth was about to answer when the tactical officer shouted from his station, "Energy spike, there." The officer never finished his sentence. A beam of intense light shot from the lead alien ship, cutting through the horizon like it was made of paper. Jack felt a moment of searing heat, then nothing. The horizon exploded in silence, its fragments scattering across the void. Not a single distress call was sent. Not a single crew member survived. Back on Earth, Admiral Alice Donovan sat in the command center of Earth Defense Force headquarters. Screens surrounded her, showing Earth's colonies and outposts throughout the solar system. After years of work, humanity had established research stations on the Moon and Mars, mining operations on the asteroid belt, and even small settlements on Europa and Titan. "Admiral," her aide said urgently, "we've lost contact with the horizon." Alice stood up immediately. "When? How?" "Just now." One moment they were transmitting normally, the next, nothing. Before Alice could respond, another officer called out, "Admiral, we're detecting multiple unknown vessels entering the solar system. They're moving fast. Faster than anything we have." As Alice's blood ran cold. Something was very wrong. "Alert all outposts. Raise defense conditions to maximum. Get me a direct line to the President." Over the next 72 hours, Alice watched in horror as humanity's dreams of peaceful expansion among the stars crumbled. The alien fleet moved through the solar system with military precision. They didn't communicate or make demands. They simply attacked. The research outpost on Neptune's moon Triton fell first. 500 scientists and their families, gone in minutes. Next came the mining stations in the asteroid belt. Then the Mars colony with its population of 15,000. Alice coordinated Earth's defenses as best she could. Ships were rushed into service, some still being fitted with weapons as they launched. Colonies pulled back their people toward Earth when possible, but humanity's technology was simply no match for the invaders. "We've identified 12 distinct ship designs," reported Commander Phil Bradley, Alice's intelligence officer. "Based on their coordination, we believe they represent some kind of coalition." "What do they want?" Alice asked, her voice hoarse. "From 3 days without sleep." "Unknown. But they're being methodical. They're not just attacking randomly. They're systematically eliminating our presence in the solar system." On day 5, the alien fleet reached Earth orbit. Earth's remaining ships, a hodgepodge of military vessels and armed civilian craft, formed a defensive line. "All ships, this is Admiral Donovan," Alice broadcast to her makeshift fleet. "Protect the evacuation centers. Give the civilians time to reach the underground shelters. The battle for Earth lasted less than 6 hours. Human ships fought bravely, but they might as well have been throwing rocks at tanks. When half the fleet was destroyed, Alice gave the order to scatter. No sense in losing everyone in a hopeless fight. As the alien ships began landing on Earth, they finally transmitted a message. It appeared on every screen, broadcast on every frequency. We are the Galactic Council. Your species has been deemed too aggressive for unrestricted interstellar travel. Earth is now under Council protection. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization. President Karen Foster met with the alien representatives in what remained of the United Nations building in New York. The aliens called themselves the Council of 12 Species. Their leader, a tall being with iridescent scales and 4 arms, introduced himself as High Executor Zalek of the Vexari. Your species has a genetic predisposition toward violence, Zalek stated without emotion. We have studied your history. You wage war constantly. You would bring chaos to the galaxy. We were sending a diplomatic mission, Karen argued. We wanted peace. Preventative action was necessary, another alien said. This one had pale blue skin and eyes that seemed to see in all directions. You will be contained here on your homeworld. Council observers will ensure your compliance. When Karen asked about the people who had been killed, the aliens simply ignored the question. Instead, they outlined the new reality. Humans would be restricted to Earth. Most advanced technology would be confiscated. A council station would be built in orbit to monitor the planet. Any attempt to develop space travel would be met with immediate punishment. In the back of the room, Alice Donovan watched with clenched fists. The aliens had taken everything: Earth's freedom, its future among the stars, and billions of innocent lives. She made a silent promise as she stood there. This wasn't over. Someday, somehow, humanity would have its revenge. As the aliens departed the meeting, one of them paused near Alice. It had feathers instead of hair and eyes like polished obsidian. You harbor thoughts of resistance, it said quietly. Understandable, but futile. Accept your place, human. The Council has stood for 12,000 years. Your species is but a moment in cosmic time. Alice looked directly into its alien eyes. We'll see about that, she said. 15 years passed since the day the aliens took over Earth. The world had changed completely. Tall alien towers now stood in every major city. Strange ships flew overhead at all hours. Humans were allowed to live their lives, but under strict rules and constant watching. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council. They said they were protecting humans from themselves, but everyone knew the truth. Earth was a prison, and humans were the prisoners. Samuel Hayes walked through the crowded streets of what used to be Boston. At 45, his hair was going gray, but his body remained strong from years of military training. Before the invasion, he had been a special forces commander. Now he pretended to be just another broken man accepting his fate. But Samuel was not broken, not even close. He entered a small coffee shop and sat at a corner table. 5 minutes later, a woman joined him. Olivia Chen had been a brilliant scientist before the invasion. Now she worked as a technician in one of the Council's research facilities, a job that gave her access to alien technology and information. You're late, Samuel said quietly. Security was tight today, Olivia replied. But it was worth it. Look at this. She slipped a small device across the table. It looked like an ordinary tablet, but Samuel knew it contained stolen Council data. What am I looking at? He asked after studying the screen. The truth about the Council. They're not as united as they want us to believe. The 12 species don't trust each other. They have different goals, different beliefs. Olivia leaned forward. And the attack on Earth? It wasn't even a unanimous decision. It was pushed by one species, the Vexari. Samuel wasn't surprised. The Vexari were the most aggressive of the Council species. With their scale-covered bodies and 4 arms, they seemed built for war. Most of the military leaders on the oversight station were Vexari. Is that all? He asked. No, I found something else. Olivia lowered her voice even more. The real reason they attacked us, it wasn't just because they thought we were violent. Earth sits on one of the largest deposits of something they call dimensional fold elements in this part of the galaxy. What's that? It's what powers their faster-than-light travel. Without it, they'd be stuck using normal engines like we used to have. They need it, Sam. They invaded us for our resources. Samuel's hand tightened into a fist. All those lives lost, for mining rights. They talked for another half-hour, then left separately to avoid suspicion. Samuel headed for the underground train that would take him to the old subway tunnels where the Resistance had its main base. The Resistance had grown slowly over the years. At first, it was just a handful of military personnel and scientists who had escaped the initial purges. Now it numbered in the thousands, with cells in every major city. They operated from abandoned tunnels, old military bunkers, and other places the Council's scans couldn't penetrate. When Samuel reached the base, he found a crowd gathered around Eric Mason, one of their best pilots. Eric was gesturing excitedly. It worked. We actually did it. Did what? Samuel asked, pushing through the crowd. Eric's face was flushed with excitement. We stole a Council shuttle. It's small, but it's in perfect condition. And even better, we can use it. This was huge news. The Resistance had captured alien technology before, but never a working spacecraft. If they could learn to fly it, they could potentially leave Earth for the first time in 15 years. Where is it? Samuel asked. Hidden in the old aircraft hangar at Hanscom. Kate and Patrick are guarding it. Get Olivia there immediately. I want to know everything about that shuttle by tomorrow. Over the next month, Olivia and her team worked day and night on the stolen shuttle. They discovered something amazing. The Council's technology, while advanced, worked on principles that humans could understand. The aliens used different materials and had more efficient methods, but the basic science wasn't magical or beyond comprehension. It's like comparing a smartphone to an old rotary phone, Olivia explained to Samuel. They're both phones, just separated by decades of development. We can learn this, Sam. We can adapt it. Even more important was what they found in the shuttle's computer. Records of human specimens being transported off-world for research purposes. But the data showed these humans weren't in laboratories. They were in mining colonies working as forced labor. They lied about everything, Samuel said as he reviewed the files. They said they were containing us for the galaxy's safety, but they're using us as slaves to mine their precious resources. The biggest discovery came when Olivia decrypted the shuttle's communication logs. The Council was afraid of something, entities they called the Void Heralds, some kind of threat from deep space that had the entire Council preparing for war. That's why they're mining so aggressively, Olivia realized. They're building up their forces. And Earth isn't just a resource cache. We're a buffer zone. If these Void Heralds attack from this direction, guess who gets hit first? Samuel stood in silence for a long moment. Then he made a decision. I'm calling a full leadership meeting. It's time to move to the next phase. 2 days later, the Resistance leaders gathered in their underground command center. Military commanders, scientists, engineers, and cell leaders from around the world joined via secure communication. For 15 years, we've been gathering information and building our strength, Samuel said to the assembled group. We've learned about our enemy, we've studied their technology, and now we know why they're here and what they really want. Explained everything they had discovered from the shuttle. When he finished, the room was silent. We can't win in a direct fight, he continued. Their weapons are too powerful and they control the orbital station, but there's another way. He turned to a large screen showing a detailed plan. I call it Operation Ghost. Operation Ghost wasn't about open rebellion. It was a plan for infiltration. The Resistance would slowly place its people inside the Council's Earth administration. They wouldn't sabotage or attack. They would watch, learn, and gradually take control from within. It will take years, Samuel admitted. But the Council doesn't expect this kind of patience from us. They think we're impulsive and violent. They're waiting for us to attack directly, and they're prepared for that. They're not prepared for what we're going to do. Olivia stepped forward. While we infiltrate their administration, we'll also be developing our own technology based on what we've learned. Not weapons, Not yet. But communication systems, analysis tools, and eventually, our own ships. The plan was approved unanimously. Operation Ghost would begin immediately. As the meeting ended, Samuel found himself standing next to Alice Donovan. The former admiral was now in her 70s, but her mind remained sharp. She had been secretly guiding the resistance since the EAO beginning. "Do you think it will work?" Samuel asked her. Alice looked at the plan displayed on the screen. "It's our best chance. The Council thinks they know humans, but they don't. They see our capacity for violence, but they miss our capacity for endurance." She smiled grimly. They have no idea what's coming. 5 years passed since Samuel Hayes had first presented Operation Ghost to the resistance leadership. The plan had moved slowly but steadily forward. Unlike the quick, violent rebellions the Council expected from humans, this was a patient game of strategy and deception. 50 specially trained agents had been carefully placed throughout the Council's Earth administration. Some worked as translators, others as technical support staff, and a few had even managed to secure positions as assistants to Council officials. They didn't sabotage or attack. They simply watched, learned, and gradually influenced small decisions. Samuel stood in the Resistance's new command center, built inside an abandoned salt mine 300 feet below ground. The facility was shielded from Council scans by a combination of natural minerals and technology reverse-engineered from the stolen shuttle. "Report," he said to the gathered team leaders. Julie Winters stepped forward. Once a professor of xenolinguistics, she now led the cultural infiltration team. Her job was to study the Council species, their languages, customs, and especially their conflicts. "The cracks in the Council are growing wider," Julie said. "The Vexari still dominate through military strength, but the Orath and Kalari representatives are increasingly vocal in their opposition. They believe the Vexari are using too many resources for military buildup instead of scientific research." Samuel nodded. The Council presented itself as unified to humans, but his team had discovered that the 12 species had their own agendas. Some had been enemies for thousands of years before joining the Council. Old hatreds died hard, even among aliens. "What about our people in the administration?" he asked. "We've reached 38% infiltration," Julie replied. "Any more might draw attention. The system we've developed to filter information going to the oversight station is working perfectly. They're seeing what we want them to see. A compliant human population slowly adapting to their rule." Next, William Stone gave his report. The former quantum physicist led the technical division responsible for reverse engineering Council technology. "We've completed the prototype ships," William said with barely contained excitement. 3 vessels, each capable of interstellar travel. We've kept them small and efficient. They don't match Council warships in firepower, but they're actually faster and more maneuverable. This was a major achievement. Building starships in secret had been the most challenging part of their plan. The underwater facility in the Mariana Trench, chosen because the extreme depth interfered with Council sensors, had been working day and night for 3 years. "And the Council suspects nothing?" Samuel asked. "Nothing," William confirmed. "They've allowed certain technological developments they consider harmless. We've presented our advances in a way that makes them seem like natural human innovation. They're actually impressed by how quickly we're catching up to approved technology levels." Samuel allowed himself a small smile. The Council, particularly the Vexari, had a blind spot. They believed their technological superiority was unassailable, so they didn't bother to closely monitor what they considered primitive human efforts. "Daniel, your report," Samuel said, turning to the final team leader. Daniel Powell had been a cybersecurity expert before the invasion. Now he was perhaps the most important person in the resistance. His team had spent years studying Council computer systems. "The virus is ready," Daniel said. "We've tested it on isolated systems built from salvaged Council tech. It works exactly as designed. Subtle navigation errors, communication delays, sensor ghosts. Nothing catastrophic that would trigger emergency systems, just enough to create confusion and disorientation." Daniel's creation was a masterpiece of programming, Rather than trying to shut down Council ships which had multiple redundancies, the virus would create small malfunctions that would compound over time. In battle, even a half-second delay could mean the difference between victory and defeat. How do we deploy it? Samuel asked. It needs to be uploaded directly to their network. Once inside, it will spread to any ship or station that connects for updates. But the initial upload must be done from within their secure system. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. Someone would need to access a high-level Council terminal with network privileges. I'll handle that personally, Samuel said. We've been preparing for this moment for years. Now we just need the right opportunity. After the meeting, Samuel found Olivia in her lab. Despite the passing years, her mind remained as sharp as ever. She had become the Resistance's chief scientist, leading the effort to understand and adapt Council technology. Do you think we're ready? She asked, without looking up from her work. As ready as we'll ever be, Samuel replied. The ships are complete, the virus is ready, and our people are in position. Now we wait for the right moment to strike. Olivia finally looked up, her eyes serious. The Council has ruled for thousands of years, Sam. They've crushed dozens of rebellions from species more advanced than us. What makes you think we can succeed where others failed? Samuel considered this for a moment. Because they made a fundamental mistake. They judged us by our history and decided we were too violent, too impulsive to join their galactic community. But they never understood what that history taught us. And what's that? Olivia asked. That sometimes you have to lose 1,000 battles before you find the way to win the war. Samuel looked at the star chart on Olivia's wall, showing Earth's position in the galaxy. They think they know us, but they only see what they expect to see. They never bothered to look deeper. Unknown to the Resistance, events were unfolding in the wider galaxy that would soon provide the opportunity they had been waiting for. On the Vexari homeworld, the aging Imperator who had ordered Earth's invasion was preparing for a dangerous dimensional jump to attend the Council's centennial gathering. The Imperator's flagship, the most advanced vessel in the Vexari fleet, entered the dimensional fold with perfect precision. But during the journey, a previously undetected instability in the fold caused the ship's containment field to collapse. The resulting explosion killed the Imperator and his entire high command. For the first time in over 200 years, the Vexari leadership was thrown into chaos. The carefully maintained appearance of Council unity began to crack as various Vexari factions vied for power, and other Council species saw an opportunity to reduce Vexari influence. On Earth, in the Council's regional headquarters, a junior administrator named Ben Foster received the news of the Imperator's death. He immediately filed the appropriate reports and followed standard protocols. But Ben Foster wasn't his real name. He was one of Samuel's deepest cover agents, placed years ago for this exact purpose. That night he sent a coded message to the Resistance headquarters. The ghost has found its path. The time is now. Samuel read the message and immediately called an emergency meeting. This was the moment they had been waiting for. A distraction big enough to hide their first major move against the Council. Operation Ghost was about to enter its final phase. The three ships rose silently from the waters of the Mariana Trench. They were smaller than Council vessels, but sleek and fast. On the bridge of the lead ship, Samuel Hayes watched as water streamed off the hull. After years of planning, the moment had finally arrived. All systems operational, reported Kate Rivera, his pilot. Stealth field is holding steady. Council sensors aren't detecting us. The stealth technology was perhaps their greatest achievement. Based on Council principles, but modified through human innovation, it bent light and absorbed energy signatures. To the Council's monitoring systems, the ship simply didn't exist. Status of the other vessels? Samuel asked. Green across the board. Teams are in position. Samuel nodded and opened a channel to all three ships. This is Hayes. We've trained for this moment for years. Our mission is clear. Extract our people from the mining colonies and plant the virus in the Council network. No heroics, no revenge attacks. Stick to the plan. The ships accelerated upward, passing through Earth's atmosphere without detection. Samuel felt a moment of fierce joy as they left Earth's gravity behind. For the first time in 20 years, humans were traveling to the stars on their own terms. Once clear of Earth, the ships engaged their fold drives. The sensation was strange. A brief feeling of being stretched in all directions at once. Then, a snap back to normal as they emerged near Proxima Centauri, Earth's nearest stellar neighbor. Arrival complete, Kate announced. No signs of pursuit. Local scans show minimal council presence, just the 3 mining facilities as expected, the BE. Resistance had chosen this moment carefully. With the Vexari leadership in disarray, many council ships had been recalled for security purposes. The mining colonies were operating with skeleton crews, and the facilities relied mostly on automated defenses. Move into position, Samuel ordered. Commence Operation Lifeboat on my mark. The 3 human ships separated, each heading toward a different mining facility. Samuel's vessel approached the largest one, a massive structure carved into an asteroid. According to their intelligence, this facility held over 3,000 human laborers. Enemy defenses? Samuel asked. Automated turrets and sensor arrays, replied Daniel Powell, who was monitoring the facility's systems. Standard council security. Nothing we haven't prepared for. Samuel nodded. Begin jamming sequence. Daniel activated a device of his own design. It didn't try to overwhelm the facility's communications. That would trigger immediate alarms. Instead, it created a perfect replica of normal operation while blocking real transmissions. Jamming active. We have approximately 20 minutes before they notice the communication loop. Strike teams, prepare for deployment, Samuel said into his comm. 30 men and women in black combat suits assembled in the ship's launch bay. They carried weapons reverse-engineered from Council technology. Not as powerful as the originals, but far superior to anything humans had before the invasion. Remember, Samuel told them, minimal force against guards. Most are just doing their jobs. Our priority is extracting our people. The strike teams launched from all 3 ships simultaneously. Using personal stealth fields, they approached the facilities undetected. Samuel led his team toward the main entrance of the largest facility. The door guards were taken by surprise. Stun weapons dropped them before they could sound an alarm. Inside, the teams moved quickly through the corridors, following maps created from stolen council data. In the central control room, Samuel found what he needed, a main terminal with network access. While his team secured the area, he connected Daniel's virus to the system. Upload commencing, he said over the comm. Status of the other teams? Facility 2 secure, came the reply. Beginning evacuation of miners. Facility 3 encountering heavy resistance. 2 guards down, 1 of our team injured. Proceeding with extraction. Samuel watched as the upload bar filled. The virus was designed to look like a routine security update. Once inside the Council's network, it would spread to every connected ship and station. Upload complete, Samuel announced. Now for Phase 2. The teams moved deeper into the facilities, toward the mining areas. What they found shocked even the hardened resistance fighters. Humans of all ages worked in terrible conditions, many showing signs of radiation exposure and malnutrition. Some had been here for years, taken during the initial invasion. Get these people to the ships, Samuel ordered. Medical teams prepare for radiation treatment and emergency care. The evacuation was challenging. Many of the captives were too weak to move quickly, and some were suspicious of their rescuers. But as word spread that they were being taken home, hope replaced fear. In Facility 3, the resistance team faced the toughest opposition. A council security officer managed to trigger a partial alarm before being subdued. Local defenses activated and the team found themselves pinned down with 100 miners behind them. We need support at Facility 3, came the urgent call. On our way, Samuel replied. Kate, bring the ship around to their position. Prepare for emergency extraction. Samuel's ship moved into position above Facility 3, its weapons targeting the automated defense turrets. Precise shots disabled the external defenses without damaging the structure. Landing bay doors opening. Kate reported, preparing for mass evacuation. The rescue teams worked frantically, loading miners onto the ships. Many were crying with relief. while others stared in shock, unable to believe their captivity was ending. As the last groups were being evacuated, council alerts began blaring throughout the system. Their deception had been discovered. To Council. Patrol ships detected entering the system, Kate warned. ETA 5 minutes. Complete the evacuation, Samuel ordered. Prepare for emergency fold. The timing was going to be tight. The human ships needed 90 seconds to power up their fold drives, and they couldn't do so while landed at the facilities. The last of the miners boarded, and the ships detached from the facilities. As they moved away, the Council patrol ships came into view, sleek predators hunting for prey. Enemy ships are charging weapons, Kate reported. They're hailing us, demanding surrender. Samuel smiled grimly. Now we see if Daniel's virus works. Ignore the hail. Continue fold preparations. The Council ships fired their first volley, but the shots went wide, missing by a substantial margin. Their targeting systems were already affected by the virus. Fold drive at 80%, Kate said. 40 seconds to jump capability. The Council ships fired again, closer this time, but still not hitting their targets. Their communications were becoming erratic too, with garbled messages playing over the frequencies. They're trying to coordinate their attack, Daniel noted. But the virus is causing command delays between the ships. Fold drive ready, Kate announced. Take us home, Samuel ordered. The 3 human ships entered the dimensional fold simultaneously, leaving the confused Council vessels behind. The journey back to Earth took only moments. They emerged in high orbit, still undetected, thanks to their stealth systems. As they descended toward their hidden base, Samuel made his way through the crowded ship. Over 7,000 humans had been rescued from the mining facilities. Some were injuries, others ill, but all were finally free. An elderly man grabbed Samuel's arm as he passed. Why? He asked in a raspy voice. Why did they take us? Why make us work in those awful mines? Samuel knelt beside him. For resources they needed, and because they thought we wouldn't fight back. But they were wrong about humans. Very wrong. As the ships landed at the underwater base, Samuel knew they had won a significant victory. But it was only the beginning. Now came the most crucial part of their plan, revealing the truth to the entire galaxy. News of the mining colony raid spread through the Council like wildfire. For the first time in 20 years, humans had not only left Earth, but had successfully attacked Council facilities. Even worse for the Council, they had lost track of 3 facilities and over 7,000 human laborers. In the Council's headquarters, the emergency session was chaotic. The 12 species that made up the Galactic Council faced each other across the Grand Chamber, their unity fracturing under pressure. "This is Vexari negligence," shouted the Orath representative, his purple skin flushing darker with anger. "You assured us the humans were contained." The acting Vexari leader, still new to his position after the Imperator's death, tried to maintain calm. "This is a minor setback. We will dispatch the 7th Fleet to Earth and re-establish control." "And what will you tell them?" asked the Kalari delegate, her feathered crest rising in challenge. "That we've been using their people as slave labor? That we lied about our reasons for containing them?" The truth was even more troubling than they admitted in the open chamber. Strange reports were coming in from ships throughout Council space. Navigation errors, communication failures, sensor malfunctions, small issues but spreading rapidly. Back on Earth, Samuel Hayes and Olivia Chen stood in the Resistance Command Center. The rescued miners were being treated in underground medical facilities and their stories were being carefully documented. But the most important work was happening at the communication array. "Are we ready?" Samuel asked. Olivia nodded. "All resistance cells are standing by. The transmission has been prepared for all Council frequencies. We'll hit every ship, station, and colony simultaneously. And our protection? Daniel's virus is active throughout their network. Their weapons targeting will be off by at least 15%. Not enough for them to notice immediately, but enough to keep us safe from orbital bombardment." Samuel took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. Begin transmission. Across Council space, The carefully crafted message began to play on every frequency. It started with footage of the mining colonies, showing humans, of all ages, forced to work in dangerous conditions. It showed the original invasion of Earth, compiled from surviving footage. It revealed the Council's true motivation, the valuable resources beneath Earth's surface. Most damaging of all, it included internal Council communications that proved the attack on Earth had never been about containing a violent species. It had been a calculated resource grab, pushed by the Vexari against the reservations of other Council members. The transmission concluded with a simple message. We are not contained anymore. We know all your secrets. We are in your systems. The choice is yours, justice or consequences. As the transmission played, Council headquarters erupted into open conflict. The Orath and Kalari delegations immediately called for a full investigation. The Beltan, the Council's financial experts, began calculating the economic damage of a prolonged conflict with humans. Only the Vexari called for immediate military action. We cannot allow this insult, the Vexari leader shouted. I am dispatching the fleet to Earth immediately. But when he tried to send the orders, the commands refused to process properly. Throughout the fleet, ships reported system instabilities. Navigation coordinates shifted unexpectedly. Communication delays created confusion in the chain of command. What is happening to our systems? Demanded the Vexari leader. No one had an answer, but the truth was spreading through the Council. Humans had not only escaped Earth, they had infected the Council's network with something that could not be easily removed. 3 days after the transmission, a Council diplomatic vessel approached Earth. It entered orbit under a flag of truce and requested permission to land. After careful scanning to confirm it carried no weapons, Samuel allowed it to land at a designated meeting point. The delegation that emerged included representatives from 8 of the 12 Council species. Notably absent were the Vexari. Admiral Alice Donovan led the human negotiation team. At 85, she moved slowly, but her mind remained razor-sharp. She had survived the original invasion and had guided the resistance from the shadows all these years. Admiral Donovan, began the Orath representative, we come seeking a peaceful resolution to this situation. Alice's expression remained neutral. 20 years ago, your Council invaded our world without warning or provocation. You killed billions of our people. You took our freedom and used our people as slaves. And now you want peace? The Council was misinformed about certain aspects of the situation, the Kalari delegate said carefully. The decision to contain humanity was not unanimous. We know, Alice replied. We know everything. Your ships carry our virus. Your communications are compromised. Your secrets are exposed across the galaxy. So understand this, we will not be asking for terms, we will be dictating them. The Council representatives looked at each other nervously. The human position was stronger than they had anticipated. Alice presented humanity's non-negotiable demands. First, Earth and its colonies would be recognized as a sovereign entity with full rights. Second, the Council would pay reparations for the invasion and exploitation. Third, the Vexari leaders responsible for the attack would stand trial. Fourth, humans would receive complete access to Council technology. Finally, humans would join the Council with full voting rights. These terms are unprecedented, protested the Beltan representative. So was the unprovoked destruction of billions of lives, Alice countered. You have 2 standard days to accept or reject our terms. Choose carefully. After the Council delegation departed, Samuel approached Alice. Do you think they'll agree? Alice smiled thinly. They don't have a choice. Our virus has shown them our reach. The rescued miners have exposed their lies, and the Council itself is fracturing. The other species have wanted to challenge Vexari dominance for centuries. This is their chance. She was right. 2 days later, the Council returned with formal acceptance of all terms. The agreement was signed in what had once been the United Nations building in New York, the same place where humans had surrendered 20 years earlier. Within a month, the Vexari leadership faced trial for war crimes. Other Council species, emboldened by humanity's example, began challenging centuries of Vexari military dominance. The council itself underwent a fundamental transformation, becoming a more balanced forum where even younger species had meaningful representation. 3 years later, the new council headquarters was completed, a massive station in Earth orbit, built on the same location where the oversight station had once monitored a supposedly conquered humanity. The message was unmistakable. The balance of power had shifted forever. As Alice Donovan stood on the observation deck of the new headquarters, Samuel joined her. They looked down at Earth, beautiful and blue below them. Was it worth it? Samuel asked. The long wait, the years of hiding? Alice considered the question. We could have fought back immediately after the invasion. We would have lost, but we would have kept our pride. Instead, we chose patience. We learned their weaknesses. We waited for the right moment. And now? She gestured to the council, chamber where representatives of all species, including humans, were gathering. Now we've changed the galaxy, Samuel finished. Alice nodded, not through superior firepower, but through understanding our enemy better than they understood themselves. That's humanity's real strength. Not our capacity for violence, but our capacity to adapt and overcome. As the Earth delegation took their seats in the council chamber, a new chapter in galactic history began, shaped by the species that had once been dismissed as too violent to join the stars.